Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdx Ryan, and today I'm joined by
Nerdx Dave,
Nathan Nerdark,
Nerdx Ted.
And today we ask, to pregen or not to pregen? That is the question!
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
If you want to do that.
Kyle S. had sent us a request.
Speaking of people that have gamed with Nerdarchy.
Speaking of,
yeah,
he sent us an email with several questions in it, and so he's inspired this video we're doing right now. And that is pre-generated characters in your tabletop RPG game. Should you do it? Shouldn't you do it?
The good, bad, and the ugly of it.
Right.
Perhaps.
So pre-generated characters, we've run a handful of games over the years with pre-gens. Most of the time we do make our own, but I think there's a lot of really great things about having pre-generated characters, and I think first and foremost is you can have everything neatly tied together as the GM because you've made these characters for the players. You know them, you know what they like, so you can make things that they're going to want to play, but their stories can be all tied together. Their skills can be chosen by you. You therefore have the ability to not only know that the skill bases are covered for what you're going to require, but at the same time you can call those rarely used skills into question because you know they're there.
Yeah, you can highlight it.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes, and this is for a one-shot, so sometimes I find with a one-shot, you have characters that are just comical that they're there. Excuse me. They're comical that they're there rather than, actually putting forth a good representation of like a piece, an adventuring party,
like somebody that makes sense in the context of the story.
There have been times that I've been involved in a one shot, and while the DM might have put out this is what's going on, there wasn't either enough information or the player didn't fully understand what the scope of the game was, and they came with a character that made absolutely no sense, would have no reason to be there.
Or some players just want to see the world burn.
In those occasions, you just kind of have to hand wave. It's like, do you want to play the game? Yes.
Yeah, and that's fine. But, having a pre-gen, you eliminate that hurdle. You just bypass it. Here you go. You have characters that all have a reason to be here now.
Yeah, if you as the GM create pre-gens and the whole party's pre-gens, it all just works together. You've already done the work of putting the party together. So the other thing where we've used pre-generated characters in our games as well is you have a new player show up to the game that isn't in the game, and whether they're actually a new player or they just need a character to play, being able to go, here you go, get right in the game and let's play. Because I've heard horror stories of the new guy showing up to the game, who isn't part of the existing group, sits in the corner, makes his character for 2 hours, and never really actually plays the game. So if I had the option of doing that or just going, maybe this wasn't the character you're going to make, but you get to play tonight, I would absolutely go with, I get to play tonight, because I could have sat home and made my character.
And that's a good play for organized play, too. Like, I don't know if Adventure Leagues does this, but I know Pathfinder, they have a range of pre-gen characters. Now, I mean, they're not always made for the context of the story. They're just pre-generated characters of various classes. But it's another thing to just have a portfolio of characters for someone to just show up and play and be ready and have a welcome place at your gaming table.
You get to be the Boy Scout of the gaming world, and you're always prepared. Oh, you're going to play the game. I so happen to have a character. Choose one of these. The other place is conventions. This comes up. Pretty much every convention you go to, you're playing in games, and generally the GM will provide pre-generated characters that fit to the adventure that you're playing in, or if it's some kind of organized play, you have a character that kind of gets like recorded. Stamped with approval, and you can show up at those games. But for the most part, what you're going to find is pre-generated characters that go to the adventure that's being run.
Especially if it's people that aren't familiar with the gaming system. Say, if you're running a Fate game and there's not a huge community of Fate in your area, or just somebody that's a Dungeons and Dragons player that wants to check out Fate, well, having pre-gens for them to choose from rather than them going through the rigor of figuring out, okay, how do I make a character in a system I have no experience with? So
speaking to that, Brian Feaster had come and run Open Legend for us, and we were kind of like, all right, we're really busy, so we don't have a lot of time to learn a whole new system. But if you show up with pre-gens, and we can kind of learn as we go, we'll check out your game and we'll play. And he did exactly that. We picked the ones we liked, and we were able to learn as we went and have an enjoyable evening of gaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Or afternoon, as the case may be. But that's a good thing too. Even if you are going to the extent of designing your own gaming system, having pre-gens just makes sense. I even think on the Open Legend site that a lot of those characters as pre-gens are existent, because you have to teach new players how you want your system to be interacted with, and having pre-gens for that is a great thing. And as the DM writing the pre-gens, you're teaching the players how you want them to interact in the world by having a very brief bio, because if you make it 2 pages, your players are never going to read it. So 300 words, 500 words or less. And then this way you're teaching the players how you want them to perceive and interact with the world you're presenting for them.
The Star Wars beginner games are great because they come with 4 portfolios for characters with different advancements built into them already.
So you can just turn it, and it's like, oh, there you go. I leveled up.
Yeah, it gives you a brief background or history of the character, and then online you can go to the Fantasy Flight games, and you have several more that you can download too. So, which we actually used that in one of our Star Wars games. I had a friend show up. He goes, you know what? I've never played a role-playing game, but I want to check it out. You're into this thing. I'm going to take a look. And we're like, great, here's a bunch of characters to pick from. And, he picked the one he liked. And
he got right into the story.
Yeah, he got right into the story.
That's great.
Play.
And the same thing with the starter box did the same thing for the pre-gen characters. All their stuff was picked out for you for the first 3 levels. And you just played, because if no one has any experiential knowledge with Dungeons & Dragons, these choices are daunting and overwhelming for them.
Yeah, it just makes it easy to get in the game, keep going, and it like you said, it does kind of teach how you might advance a character. Another way that I've used pre-gen characters in the past as kind of like a role-playing exercise, here's a character, and here's the role. Now you as a role player are going to try and figure that out and play that character, even though it wasn't one you created.
Right.
So it's kind of almost like an improv acting type.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you might want to do for having a host of pre-generated characters is have a greater number of pre-gens available than are actually, than you're going to need to cast for the game. So if there's 3 slots, maybe you have 5 or 6. So this way, people do get a little bit of their preference in which way they want to go.
It also stops the person who shows up last from just I get whatever's left.
Yeah.
They do get at least a little bit of a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
All those are good reasons why we believe you should use pre-generated characters in instances where it works. In the comments below, why don't you tell us your experience with pre-generated characters? While you're at it, share, and subscribe.
Check out Funny Memes over on Facebook.
You can tweet at us at Nerdarchy.
You can also find us over on Instagram.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.